Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda. Over this last year, recording these Take 5 messages, and there's over 350 of them now, I've on a number of occasions made reference to jobs that I was doing. I've been doing a lot of work in the garden of our home, lockdown projects, and because I've not been traveling nearly as much as in many years now, I've traveled great parts of the year, so I've been catching up on a lot of jobs that needed to be done. And I've tried my hand at new things and had great fun learning new skills and watched umpteen YouTube videos to educate myself how to do certain jobs. But you know, while I'm always prepared to turn my hand to something new, it's important that we recognize our limitations. It's important that we recognize when there's a job where we need to call in the professionals. And I had a job like that this week. There was a leak coming from underneath our oil tank. We have an oil-fired central heating system, so we have a tank that needs to be filled. The guy comes with a tanker, fills it with kerosene, and that powers our central heating. Well, there was a leak, and a very slow leak, but gradually kerosene had been soaking into the ground beside our house. Now, I did my best to fix the leak and quickly realized it was beyond my capability. So I rang my friend Ron Carney and said, "Ron, do you know a plumber?" And he recommended a guy, and the guy came and he fixed it. He was able to do it very quickly. He had the tools and the expertise to know how to do the job. You know, I'm glad that I know when to recognize my limitations. I'm glad that I didn't persist in trying to do the job myself and end up having more of this inflammable liquid leaking into the ground beside our family home. But I'm also glad that I had access to somebody that could come and do the job for me. And these are two things that often go together in life: the ability to recognize our own limitations, but then the access to one who does not share our limitations. Well, I thank God today that God has no limitations, that God is totally unlimited. I am limited, and I've come to recognize my limitations. One time I thought I could do just about anything, and then quickly discovered I couldn't. I used to think that I could work day after day, week after week, month after month without taking time off, and realized that I was damaging myself and damaging the church and damaging my family by doing so. I had to learn to recognize my limitations. But we also need to recognize that we serve a God who has no limitations. There's an old song that says this: "He giveth more grace when the burdens grow greater. He sendeth more strength as the labours increase. To added afflictions he addeth his mercy. To multiplied trials he multiplies peace." So God does strengthen us. God does add to us. But then it goes on to say, his love has no limits. His grace has no measure. His power no boundary known unto men. For out of his infinite riches in Jesus, he giveth and giveth and giveth again. That is the limitless God that keeps on giving. And then there's a beautiful last verse to the song that says, "When we have exhausted our store of endurance, when our strength has failed ere the day is half done, and when we reach the end of our hoarded resources, our Father's full giving is only begun." My prayer for you this day is that you would indeed recognize your own limitations, that you would avail of God's grace and God's faith to do things that you never dreamed you could do, but also to recognize your own limitations. But that in recognizing your own limitations, it would not be just a giving up and throwing up your hands, but it would be calling on the one who has no limits whatsoever to come and fight on your behalf. And if you're feeling like you have reached your limits, I pray that you will reach out to the limitless God today and see what he can do for you, that when you've reached exhausted your store of endurance, that the Father's full giving is only begun. Be blessed today, and please join us again tomorrow for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda.